Happy New Year! We are back for a quick Cheltenham something review preview. Anyway, we are proudly sponsored by Oddschecker. I am joined by my esteemed wingman, someone from France and someone from doesn't know if he's Irish or English. Scotty, how are you, my man? How was your Christmas? And welcome back.
Hello, Jamie. Hello, Joe. Yeah, it was good. Thanks. I just had a nice quiet one. I've been out playing a lot of darts. Got a big tournament over here in January, so I'm practicing and watching the Ali Pally. And it's nice to have a bit of a day off today from the racing. Just watched one of the Punchestown races, but yeah, just looking forward to having a nice quiet few weeks, but still some good racing.
Joe, how was Christmas?
Yeah, good, James. Good. My first Christmas here over
Did
in
you cook,
Ireland.
Joe?
We did well. I helped prep the day before, and we had it all
Prep.
ready.
Prep
There
is
was,
key.
there was only the two of us as well, so it was easy, like bung it in the oven, job done. But yeah, look, good. Great to have all the good racing as well. A few bubbles were burst, but we'll get into that obviously in a few days' time. But yeah, just been enjoying what's been going on so far. Getting a few little darts tips here and there off Bad Boy. Um, yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, nothing, no complaints for once, really.
Good stuff, good stuff. We're going to crack on, lads, to everybody who watches us. Thanks for watching us in 2024. We'll move on to 2025 to better and bigger things. We're going to do four races, one from Cheltenham, which isn't great to share on New Year's Day since the Dipper is gone. We have the New Year's Day chase at Tramore, and we're going to look forward further afield for Naas on Sunday with the Grade 1 Lauders and the Grade 2 Novice Chase over 2 miles. We will also have a Christmas review show out maybe Thursday night for you to watch. And we're going through with a fine tooth comb really what every race of Christmas at Leopardstown, Kempton, and the whole shebang. And we will go through all that. So we quickly crack on, stop waffling, Jamie, and we'll move on to the 3:15 at Cheltenham tomorrow on New Year's Day is the Grade 2 Red Keel Hurdle over 2.5 miles. The favourite in this for Gary Moore is Salver at 5-2, 3-1 Golden Ace, 7-2 Lucky Place, 11-2 Langer Dan, 8-1 Gowl Road, 25-1 Thunder Rock, and 40-1 Twig. Scotty, we'll start with you. The Relkill Hurdle, talk to me.
I think it's quite an easy race, Jamie, to solve. Probably be my strongest bet of the day tomorrow. I'm going to back Lucky Place, who won the Coral Hurdle at Ascot the last time. He's got a lot to find on ratings with the likes of Langer Dam, but we know all about him. I'm not going to waste time, but he's only got to fight, give him £2 in the race. Um, I think horses in there like Thunder Rock and Gowel Road, and Gowel Road's good handicapper. I don't think he'd be quite good enough to win this race against the likes of Lucky Place. Salver again, excuse me. I think the ground, I think it's good soft there at Cheltenham at the moment. I don't think there's much rain due the next 24 hours, so I'd be keen on Lucky Place. I know Golden Ace is receiving. I think she's receiving something like £10 from him, and she's only got I think 2.25 lengths to make up from the Ascot run, and she obviously won the Mayor's Novice last year over the course. But again, it's a bit further than she ran at the festival. I do think she will need soft ground to be seen at her best effect. I just worry that the longer trip may still kind of like find her out here. I think she'll probably run her race, but for me, I think Lucky Place at 7-2 is the bet of the race. And I think, like I said, the likes of Langer Dan, he's big days to come in a few months' time. And I don't think the rest are good enough. So I think it's between the two of them. And I think Lucky Place will maintain the Ascot form.
Joe.
Yeah, I mean, look, to keep it short and sweet, I'm the same with Scotty. I think Lucky Place. I know he's gone up a little bit in the weight, so he's probably going to need to find more, but it's very possible after what he showed us the last day. Um, he looks like a horse to me that's just going to sort of keep continuing to improve, maybe a pound or so with each run for the time being. And I think that makes him quite hard to beat. Look, Golden Ace is a lovely mare. I'm just not sure about her. I think she might need it a little bit softer. Not massively keen on her chances. She's really straightforward and a nice mare to go forward with, but I'm starting to feel like she looks a little bit vulnerable in this field. Salva, God knows what they're doing with Salva, Jamie. He's had soft ground, he's had good ground. They've pulled him out both times. No idea what they're obviously trying to do with him, but of course the form of the juveniles has been exceptional so far. So he has to come into the equation somewhat. And then of course Langer Dan. I mean, he's a spring horse, isn't he? Dan Scout told us he's a spring horse, so we'll see what happens with him going forward. I think Gowl Road is interesting here, but the drop back and trips probably not ideal for him. But I would have him in mind for a bigger pot down the line, some sort of handicap. But by process of elimination, for me, Lucky Place is the one that's still improving. Track seems fine. He was second to Gidley Park. He was then fourth in the Coral Cup behind Langedan. I think with that run under his belt last time out, he's going to improve a little bit more again. I think he'll reverse the placings with Langedan. And he just about gets my vote here, but it's not a strong one. I was strong on him the last day when he won, if you guys remember. But yeah, hopefully he'll get the job done again. So lucky place just about for me in what's a tricky race to sort of suss out for me, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very tricky. I came down. I think I'm gonna go with he's only a pound still rated under lucky place, and it's getting obviously to £10. It's been obvious for me. And look, obviously we see that brighter days ahead. Should have won the Mayor's Novice last year, and I have to go with Golden Ace here. I think it traveled like the best horse in the race. I thought in the Carl Hurl at Ascot, and it just blew up, and I thought it needed to run. And it leads further than, but I know 2-3, 2-4, same thing really, but it's back on the new track like he won the Mayor's Novice, and that's good enough for me. Track form is everything for me. Look 3 furlongs further, obviously, than the Mayor's Novice, but she'll win. I think 3-1 is a good bet, and I think she'll win. She'd be wanting to win this, really, to be honest, if she's ever going to be considered to be a Mayor's Hurdle horse, especially now with the way brighter days ahead. Lottie could have gone on the Champion Hurdle route. She would really want to be winning this to have any chance in the Mayor's if they go Champion Hurdle.
She's very straightforward, Jane, which
Mhm.
will help her cause. She doesn't like make too many mistakes. She
No.
sees her hurdle, she jumps.
Mhm.
She's a straightforward sort in that
Yeah,
sense. So like she
and I
won't.
think,
You wouldn't think she'd do too much wrong, would you, in the race at the same
but
time?
it was like the last day with Joe with Dice Sardinas, like in the form there with that kind of collateral. She Golden Ace, we want to be winning this, or else she's in no man's land, in my opinion.
Sure.
Yep. Right, 2:15. We move on to Tremor for their Irish Whiskey New Year's Day chase. It's a grade 3 over 2 miles 7 furlongs. The favorite here is to the lads. Nice, they actually like this horse. I don't really, but we'll see. 6-4 on Monty Star. Classic Getaway is 3-1. 11-2 Manila Indo. 6-1 Appreciate. 14-1 Capitano. 14-1 Manila Crooner. 18-1 Embassy Gardens. Joe would stick with you. Who do you fancy here?
Yeah, like you said, big fan of Monty's Star. I mean, you got a lot of sort of like the same protagonists lining up in this race that we've got a pretty strong grasp on their ability at the moment. But Monty's Star is the one that can improve, and he's what I'd call like a proper old school national hunt steeplechaser. Like he's a big galloper. He travels well, and his jumping. I think bar Stumptown, I keep going to call him Monty's Pass. Monty Star is probably the best jumper out of any national hunt horse, bar Stumptown. He's a real good jumper. Like he's efficient. He really gets his front legs tucked into his chest, high and quick. No issues with regards to his jumping, and I think that just makes him a really genuine sort to go forward with. So, look, he's going to have improved from what he showed us last season, but obviously he chased home Spillan's Tower. I know he disappointed in the King George, but I'd look past that. We've seen better of him, so I think you could obviously say that run at Punchestown was a little bit better than what we saw at in the King George. So, look, I'd like Monty Star to go and improve and win this race. Am I going to back him? I'm not so sure at the moment. But he is the one that I'd like to see going forward because I think he could be a genuine Gold Cup contender. And as Scotty mentioned a while ago, he's a massive price for the Ryanair if things don't quite pan out here. And not stealing Scotty's thunder, he's the one that pointed this out to us at a triple figure price, wasn't he? Scotty, 100-1, was he?
Yeah.
So look, I mean, that's a pretty big price if things don't totally go to plan or if he doesn't totally see out the trip tomorrow. But again, it's not really a betting race for me, but I think I'd be siding with Monty Star on the basis that I think he's going to improve this season. And he jumps well. It doesn't do much wrong. So I'd like Monty Star to win. I'll put it that way, Jane.
Yeah, I'm with you here, Joe. Obviously, it has to be. It's a couple of horses. I think most of the horses here are in no man's land. Really, they really are. They've been to the well, and especially Classic Getaway was very disappointing. There behind Jungle Boogie and um, Appreciate. It doesn't stay. Embassy Gardens is probably more national type, and all these horses like they're in no man's land. And if not, Monty Starr can't beat these, he shouldn't even be in a conversation for a Ryanair or a Gold Cup. He needs to win tomorrow to prove that he's, I suppose, capable of open company chases and moving forward to. Well, I prefer him. I'm kind of like you. I prefer him to see him in a Ryanair. To be honest, he's not a Gold Cup. Scotty.
Yeah, again, everything Ginger said, I think the race revolves around Monty Star for me. I think 6-4 is a backable price. A lot of these have had a run already this season. Appreciate it, ran pretty well in the Hilly Way in Cork, albeit that was over a lot shorter trip behind the likes of Energum and Banbridge and Dino Blue. He would have finished fourth in that race if Banbridge would have stood up, who's gone on to win the King George, as we know. So the form of that race has been franked pretty decently since. Classic Getaway's a funny horse. I used to like him, but I just think he's too unreliable. Same as I would have given Manella Crooner a chance at 14s in this race, but again, he just seems to not complete his race as much. I think he's been pulled up in three of his last four starts. I think he's a big price at 14s, but again, I just think Embassy Gardens, as much as I love him, I don't think he's up to beating these kind of horses. And I think the only one that I think again is slightly overpriced is Capodanno. It just depends how much that Betfair chase took out of him when he was pulled up at Haydock. Grey Dawning's come out of that race since and ran no race whatsoever in the King George. So you just wonder how much it took out of all of those horses in that race. But again, jockey booking, Rachel's decided to ride Monty Star over Manila Indo. That's a big clue in itself. I think it's Monty Star's race to lose, Jamie, but I wouldn't be surprised to see either Capodanno or Manila Crooner run a big race. But for me, it's all about Monty Star. I'm going to keep it simple.
Lovely stuff. Right, we'll move on to Sunday. Further afield, these are only entries at the moment, folks. It's the Racing Post Novice Chase over 2 miles at Naas on Sunday, the 5th of January. And the favourite is Big Maj, as everyone calls him on X and Twitter. Majbra at 6-5, 9-4 in the pocket, 9-2 Firefox. Atlantique is 6-1, Touch Me On is 6-1, Only by Night is 9-1, and it's 50-1 bar. Scotty will stick with you. Is Majbra the only horse that'll take on Sergino in the Arkle at March, and
Yeah,
will he win on Sunday?
Majborough will win this, Jamie. I think. I just think it's a very taken performance. We've seen when he beat Tully Hill and Asian Master on his chase debut. I think it's again getting weight here. He's racing off 11 stone, and in the pocket's got to give him £4, and Firefox has two, and Touch Me Not's got to give him just almost a stone, which is quite crazy to think. I just think it's all about Majborough. We've got our mare in here who's in the entries Only by Night, who we like, the Gavin Cromwell mare. She obviously was very impressive up at Fairy House. Il Atlantique himself, again, I don't know if he's going to be declared, but 6-1 at the moment could be a good price. If he turns up, that's a definite each way muggy bet to nothing when he beat Waterford Whispers up at Navan earlier in December. That was a lovely little run, but for me, it's all about Big Madge, and I think it's going to be another gun to the head job. I think he'll beat these easy. I think in the pocket, you've got to respect in the pocket, but again, I don't think he's in the class as Big Madge, and I think Big Madge just takes this, and hopefully, it will set up the big match we all want to see in March against Sergino.
Yeah, 100% Scotty. That's what I want. You want Big Madge now to put on a performance to even contemplate even getting near Sergino. Joe.
Yeah, look, I'd love Big Madge to go and win this race. I think all angles sort of start to point towards him, but I'm actually quite firmly in the camp of Il Atlantique here. This is sort of what we've been waiting for a long time, is to see him over 2 miles, and we finally get it now. And I'm certainly not going to desert him. Like, he won his maiden hurdle at Gorham Park over 2 miles. Things didn't really go to plan for him since then. Did he run in the Lawlers and Ace as well? Yeah, he did. He didn't. He got beat by
Yeah, he was
Reed
beaten
Barber
by
as well,
Reed and
didn't
Tommy Wrong, yeah.
he? Yeah, and it was probably a stretch too far. He then ran at Navan on his chase debut, destroyed Waterford Whispers, decent run from Goodland back in third. He looked plenty quick the last day, Il Atlantique. Perhaps it's the fact he just doesn't quite stay. So although I absolutely love Madgeborough and I want to see that duel, and we still probably will see that duel come March, I think Il Atlantique is absolutely the better at 6-1. I love a muggy each way bet, and I think Paul Townend's probably going to ride him too. I think 6-1 each way about Il Atlantique here is an absolute steal over 2 miles, especially if they let him go off in front, which we've discussed many times, Jamie, about being a sort of favourable tactic to see him over. So whilst we get the opportunity to actually see him over 2 miles, I am all aboard Il Atlantique here. Unfortunately, I'm deserting Big Madge on this occasion.
That's fair enough. It's a game of opinions, isn't it? Now, the last race we were going to preview this weekend before we might show us a few extra horses after this is the Lawlers of Naas, the Grade 1 over 2.5 miles. And the favourite here is a warm favourite and probably be shorter on the day is Jasmine DeVoe at 7-4. The Yellow Clay is 4-1. Ballygunner Castle at 7s. Butch Cassidy at 7s. Kel Histoire at 10-1. Shuffle of Deck 10s. You ought to know 10s. Say the Chance 12s. Wingman 16s and 20 to 1 bar. Joe, we'll stick with you. Is Jasmine the good thing here with the form being franked?
I don't think so, Jay. No, the form's been frank nice, but the jumping to me is a massive concern. Uh, okay, he's entitled to improve for that experience, but he's gonna have to improve on that jumping. We've seen it in this race many times, like the good things get turned over, and it often sets up for like a one of the outsiders of the field, if you like. And one that does seem to interest me for some reason is Super Sunday. He was actually in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. And ran a pretty decent race. He only finished 10 lengths behind Slade Steele before then winning at at Ballarroad, beating Kilkee Bay. I think he's probably going to be a little bit better than what his price suggests at 20 to 1. I wouldn't mind an each way punt on him, but I think the one to be with here is actually Ballygunner Castle. He exceeded all my expectations last time out. He stayed the trip really nicely. He just continued to find and find and find over 2 miles. And he just looked like a horse to me that would do even better for the step up and trip. So, again, a little bit of an each way bet to nothing. I've got no problem backing in Atlantique at 6 to 1. And I will also be backing Ballygunner Castle each way at 7 to 1. And I might even have to have a little piece of him for Cheltenham as well on the basis of that. Because if he wins this and I haven't backed him for that, then I might be a little bit frustrated. But look, Jasmine DeVoe's engine's huge. But can he jump? It's yet to be seen. Will it let him down? Possibly. So I'll go with Ballygunner Castle for now.
Got it.
Yeah, Ginger's nailed it again. I think there, like he said, Jasmine DeVoe's jumping is the concern. We all know that from his maiden hurdle, and you can't always take, I think, form into account for every kind of particular race. I know the second and third have come out and won the Enabler, and the other horse, that one at Leopardstown that finished third to him in the maiden, has
Work
bolted
ahead.
up since. But again, it is just all about the jumping. I think a lot of people will think the safe bet in the race is the Yellow Clay. I think it's kind of like a lazy selection in a way. I do love the horse. He's won his first three. I think beating Fleur in the park and only just getting past was not the best piece of. I don't think it's winning championship form, and to win a Grade One at this level, I think it's coming to the point of the season where horses are kind of coming in now under the radar and are overpriced. And the one I actually thought was overpriced was Ballygunner Castle. Again, agreeing with Ginge. And for the exact reason, I just thought the step up and trip, he didn't scramble home. He just put his head down and fought to the line the first day over 2 miles. And I thought the step up and trip would really be a positive here. Similar kind of like profile to Butch Cassidy, who's also in the race, but he won over two, 3.5 at Punchestown earlier in the season, and he beat I think it was Manzarac. Was that the horse he beat? But that horse ran no race the other day at Leopardstown. I've actually backed him to win that race, and he was just so lifeless. So again, the form hasn't worked out too well. I can't imagine Kel Histoire is going to run here, so that's probably why he's 10 to 1. I just wouldn't even talk about him. I think the likes of Wingmen, will he run? Again, the form's been let down since in the Aintree Grade 1 Country Mile, ran no race there. I think Ballygunner Castle's a cracking each way bet here. So that's who I'd be siding with, Jay, in this race.
Country Mile ran no sort of race. Wow. Wow. I wonder why. Well,
No,
we get
no,
on that in
no.
another day.
You said
Uh,
Saman Zarak.
Sir Manzarek, oh, that was very poor, wasn't it? It just doesn't go on the ground, really.
They're a little bit weak, these Zarak horses as well.
Yeah, it just didn't go on the ground.
No.
Neat ground. Um,
Anyway,
I'm sorry, no, I'm going against you. You're absolute talking absolute nonsense here.
you're going with
Jasmine
you're,
DeVoe,
you're going with the
regardless
favourite.
of the form or not, right? It doesn't matter. I'm like, look the way, go back and the way it wanted to bumper at Naas. It gets better through the race, and that's why I'm like, 2 miles was never going to suit it the last day. They'll go a tad slower here. Oh my God! And we'll move on to Ante-Post selection after. And like, I am going to put that horse up at 9 to 1 for Turners because it will walk home. There, no one will get anywhere near Jasmine Defoe. It might look like it's struggling in the race, but it comes down to the last. It'll just run away. What as I go and say to everybody now, go back and watch its bumper when it won at Naas. That Naas bumper is 2 miles, 2 furlongs, which is great. Good to do with the bumper at Cheltenham. It just has that extra gear. Look at the bumper last year. Romeo Cooley looked like he was going to win the race, and Jasmine DeVoe has that extra gear that you need to win these type of races. And oh no, Jasmine DeVoe.
He's
I'm
definitely a
going.
stayer, isn't he, James? He's
He
definitely a
is a stair.
stayer.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is. Yeah, you see from his bumper, Joe. He was out kind of out wide, and I thought, what was Patrick doing? And came all the way around and he just ran
Mm.
away. Do you know what I mean? He kept running away, you know, and he's not going to be flashy, put that way, Joe. But I think he'll just get the job done here, and I think he'll win. And I'm going to double him up at Marisburg 6-5, 7-4, and I'm going to have a happy new year.
You hope anyway. You
I
hope.
hope, yeah. Anything else, Joe? Would stick with you? Anything else that you say you might have one for Cheltenham, and anything that catches
Yeah.
your eye in the entries or the weekend or anything like that before we move on?
It's a bit of a muggy bet to be honest because it's in a three-runner race, but it's in the opener at Cheltenham where we've got Caliph de Burle.
You're taking on Kate de Burley with
I am.
Vincenzo, yeah?
I am, yeah. And
Yep.
look, I think Caliph de Burle is going to be a really, really good horse. I actually really like this one going forward. I'm usually a bit skeptical of these Nichols horses, but I do think in time Caliph de Burle will be a smart horse. I'm not going with Vincenzo either, although he's a nice horse. I'm a
Ooh.
big fan of the sometimes see, but Tedley, he's the one that is a very straightforward horse here. He's actually been beaten by both as well. But I don't think Caliph de Burle is the horse that's going to sort of act round Cheltenham. He's like your typical flat track bully. I think that's when you'll see the best of him. He is also giving away £8 to Tedley just for a half length defeat at Newbury. And then if you look at Vincenzo as well, they are weighted the same. But again, I think Tedley is the one that's more straightforward. And I don't think Vincenzo is a horse that will actually suit a track like Cheltenham. He finished third in the Persian War, but he was about 12, 14 lengths behind Flying Fortune, which isn't any bad form. But I think he's almost a horse that we've seen his level already. The local boys, Twist and Davis, do really well at this sort of at this sort of meeting. Obviously, they train literally at the top of the hill and pretty much see the course from the yard. Tedley's just really, really straightforward. He jumps well, and I think just out of process of elimination, he's a pretty decent bet. But we have no prices at the moment. But come on, Caliph de Burle is going to be the favourite here. But I really like Tedley in the opener. It's a three-runner race, and I could look silly, but I think he's a decent bet considering he's not going to be favourite of the three as well. You might get 7-4, 5-2 about him when they open. So that'll do for me. That'll do for me.
Scotty, anything else tickle your fancy?
I'm actually going to give a chance to a horse in the 205 at Cheltenham in the handicap chase. I'm actually going to back Hitman. He's he's 14 to 1. I'm looking through the declarations for tomorrow. I know Gemma Ryan's still got a bit in hand from winning the December Gold Cup, but I think there's a lot of dead wood in there. I mean, Colonel Harry and Midnight River have had a couple of tough races, didn't even hit the frame in their last few ones, but Springwell Bay, I think, could be here just to get that extra run, just to make sure he's qualified for those handicap chases come the festival. He probably will run a good race, but I just think Hitman showed a bit of good old spark up at Aintree in the old road. He finished second behind, I think it was Manila Drama. He wasn't beaten far in that race, giving a bit of weight away. And I just thought he was slightly overpriced at 14s. And I know Harry Cobden's booked to ride. Slightly smaller field than he's been running in the big handicaps previously. I think it was only 5 runners up at Aintree, but this is probably the best chance he's had for a while of winning a race. And I think 3 places each way tomorrow, I'd definitely be having a few quid on him at 14s.
It is a big prize to be fair.
Very big, yeah. Yeah. It's one of those, oh, that's that. Oh, sure, that's one of those 102.5 milers they have at Cheltenham every year. Yeah, 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 yeah. There's a couple, yeah, obviously, quick mention for Diva Luna runs in the maiden hurdle at Cheltenham. But there's three over in Fairyhouse that I'm very interested in. I leave the last one. Joe might explain one of them better than me. But one obviously is Limerick Lace runs in the Mayor's Chase up against Riviere de Sel and Allegory de Vassy. But Limerick Lace would surely beat these, and hopefully she shows me that she still has a little bit of a spark even to consider backing her to retain her title in Cheltenham. And obviously, there's the previous Grade 1 Lauders of Naas winner back after a year out for true injury is Champ Kiley in the beginner's chase. He's definitely one to keep an eye on with a view to obviously the spring festivals. And in the 1240, the maiden hurdle, Colin Murphy has a horse who's taken on Sounds Victorious, and it's called Lovely Hurling. And this is a horse that Joe will probably explain better than me is one to definitely keep an eye on. Joe, come on,
Yeah,
back me up here.
yeah, love this horse, James. I'm just going to bring up the horse that one of his the other day was by the same dam because I don't know how to say it. Do you remember or
Gaurav Mahagut.
whatever Jamie said just there? So there's a dam
It
called
means thank you in English, so it's Gaurav
okay.
Mahagut.
So there's a dam called There Is No Point. She has had three foals. She had Cadathala, who was obviously a really decent horse.
Out of Harla.
And then the one Jamie just said, I'm not even going to try and repeat it,
Or of good.
who did really well in a point to point. And then I noted on Twitter, I said, just keep an eye because this is a mare that seems to keep providing good horses. And now they've got Lovely Hurling as well, who I think is a really dark horse for one of the graded races at Cheltenham. He's by walk in the park and he's out of there as no point. Again, this is just a mare that seems to be producing every single horse that seems to be coming out of it seems to be turning into a pretty special horse. And I think she's certainly going to be going under the radar. She's owned by JP and she's with Cole Murphy, who's a very, very good operator. People forget the days of Brave Inca and Co, and the horses that he trained back then. More recently, of course, he's had the likes of Impervious. Lovely Hurling could be the next superstar that he has, and he hasn't really had one in a long time. Okay, he's had Impervious, but of course, he's had those injury issues. But this is again just one of these horses you've got to take note of on pedigree. A walk in the park by There Is No Point, who was by Galileo herself. Look, you've just got to sort of take a second look at this horse. Won really, really nicely the second day at Wexford. Didn't do much on Hurdle's debut at Fairyhouse, but then reverted back to Bumper, which is a massive advantage for these sort of horses. Won by 5 lengths. Could be anything, basically. Haven't really got too much to say other than the fact that the pedigree is on point, but could be absolutely anything, really.
Perfect. Right, we're going to move on. Joe, if you want to start before us, me and Scotty are going to go back to our Ante-Post challenge.
Yeah,
Have you anything first to add to Ante-Post regards to Cheltenham before we move on?
yeah. I mean, over Christmas, I put up my bet of the Christmas period was a mare called the Big Westerner. Now she's obviously by Westerner. She's a half sister to Stay Away Faye, who won the Albert Bartlett. It has been confirmed today that she is going to be put away now until the Albert Bartlett. She's going to be going straight there. Now, we discussed off air. I'm often a big skeptic when it comes to backing mares against geldings, particularly when they go up to the likes of 3 miles, because I don't feel like £7 is then enough. I don't mind as much when it's over 2 miles, perhaps even 2 mile 4. But 3 miles does tend to be a little bit of a worry for me. I don't always think the £7 is enough. But I just can't be more impressed with what she's done so far. She was superior when she won over Christmas. You could see she was winning halfway out. She was just being held back by Dara O'Keefe on the snaff, pulled through the field, and away she went. She's a really big, beautiful mare. I think there's a lot more to come from her as well. And like we said over Christmas, the fact that Dara O'Keefe insisted that he went there, I think it was at Limerick, wasn't it, to ride her? It was just it told the story in itself. Look, she's a very, very talented mare. In fact, I think she's exceptional. And I think the 12-1 for the Albert Bartlett could be worth taking advantage of. Now, look, a lot of people will also say I'm not a fan of each way punting for Cheltenham. I understand that. I don't usually mind if it's on the first or second day, especially if you're having a substantial punt. I understand if someone's having 250 each way, they don't want to wait for so long for an each way bet. But I think she's a good thing to be in the first three, at least for now, anyway. And if you get your money back, well, you'll get a little bit more than your money back, and you can reinvest that throughout the day, can't you? So, look, I just think she's a really good horse, the Big Westerner, and she's borderline becoming one of these horses that I get a little bit obsessed with. So, 12-1 each way for the Albert Bartlett. Right. Okay. So, we have a segment in the show where we have the head-to-head Bad Boy versus James. The lads have put up a few horses already this season. You'd probably have to remind me who, but if not, I'll put them up on Twitter. And they are allowed 2 substitutes between the beginning of the season and Cheltenham. Jamie, you've got quite a few lined up for this week, so why don't we let Scotty go first with what he's got, and then we'll come to you for your list as well.
Perfect.
Sound. Just a quick reminder of what I've backed so far. I picked up 5. I put Cargeese for the Mare's Chase, so that's looking unlikely. So she could potentially be getting subbed. East India Dock for the Triumph Hurdle. Dancing City for the Browns Advisory. Jello for the Ryanair Chase and Lodershood for the Arkle. So that's my picks at the moment. And my 6th selection is going to come in the Ultima Handicap Chase.
Whoa.
I'm going to get in early at 16-1 because I think this horse is going to be running in the race. And I don't think he's good enough for a Browns, but I think he falls into the novice category. Obviously, novices have a good record in the race. Chianti Classico won it last year for 143. He's rated 147 after finishing second to the Jukebox Man at Kempton in the Quarto Star, and that's Highland for Nicky Henderson.
Another Henderson horse for me.
I know, I was
Another
waiting for that.
Henderson horse. Yeah, I just think he's had some very good runs. Won his chase debut, I think, in Utoxeter in the summer. He's qualified now. He's had 5 runs. You only need four, but he's had 5 runs, and he's obviously won 2 races at Cheltenham over the course and distance. So I think he's a very good horse going left-handed. Got closer than I thought he would to the Jukebox Man. He ran a very good race at Kempton, and I think Correct Rambler won the race in 2023 off 144 after he won the previous year off 140. So I think he's just on the cusp of being okay at 147 in the race, and I'm pretty convinced he's going to turn up here. So at 16 to 1, I think Highland would be a good one to get into the book now. He potentially could go straight to the festival. I don't think we'll see him again before then. So I am going to make sure he's in the book at 16 to 1. So Highland for the Ultima for Nicky Henderson for me.
Yeah, look, it's a great shout. To be honest, you've been making your case for him to me and Jamie all week, sort of waiting for the handicap markets to open up, which they now have, especially with Bet365 and maybe a couple of others too. And you've got me sold on it a little bit as well, to be honest, Scott. I do like that a lot. Jamie, you got 3 additions, have you, to your
Three
squad?
editions. My
And
good
who have you
man.
got so far? Can you remember them all?
Keita Bourbon for the Browns at 20 to 1. Very disappointed with him in the beginner's chase, but I wouldn't give up on him. I think he'll just need pace in the race. That was a bit of a sprint. But if you're being beaten by a De Capo in the race, who is an out
Yeah,
and out plotter in my book, I'm definitely in trouble there. 21 Lamb Press. Yeah, yeah, not too bad. Happy with his run in the King George, and hopefully Venetia will see the light and put it in the right air.
very much so.
And 25 to 1 Fortune Tamir for the bumper, which is a stab in the dark. Probably the most transferable horse at the moment is Key to Bourbon, but look, we'll hold tough. We'll hold tough. We'll hold tough. The first, Joe, I'm going now. The problem is I'm playing a bit of bingo with Willie Mullins, and I'm going to have to go with it. And look, we can sub one out to move one afterwards. We'll see. But 16 to 1 for the Supreme Novices, and the way he won the very first race at Leopardstown. And I look, the other horse we've gone to, who I'm putting up to about this can't jump thing. If you look back years ago in the way Faheen could jump a hurdle, and it could still plow through hurdles and still beat the crap out of horses. And to be honest with you, I haven't seen a horse with a better engine who pulled the hands out of Paddy Mullins, his hands in the first race, beat like a decent yardstick to have, and a lot of rumours about this Common Bunga is supposed to be a good horse. And Winnie Hill was in third, not a bad horse either. But 16 to 1, with the doubts around where Salvatore Mundi. Now, Romeo Kudu did impress me, but he got his own way the last day compared to what, and he, to me, he's still beaten by Toon Saavedra, and that is still bugging me. Like, and Toon Saavedra didn't win the novice handicap hurdle
Yeah,
there as well, and we go through that the next day. But Kopek the board at 16 to 1 is massive. The engine on this horse, and he absolutely plowed through hurdles. If Paul Townend comes back on board, and obviously probably we will see him in 5 weeks' time at the DRF, I'm going to put it in the book before it ends up a 7 to 4, 2 to 1 poke for Supreme after the DRF, because I think we'll win the 2 mile at the DRF. So 16 to 1 Kopek to the board for the Supreme Novice is definitely going in the book for me. The
good
second
one.
horse I gave it away there earlier is before he runs in the Lawlers for the Turners Novice Hurdle, obviously the Gallaghers, the Ballymore, the Neptune, whatever you want to call it, is now he's 8 to 1, and I think it'll win the weekend. The way with the form, obviously, with work ahead and
The
the
enabler.
second, the enabler, sorry, one at Leopardstown over Christmas, and we'll go through it obviously the next day. The way it came up the hill and won the bumper at Cheltenham, one who I really take notice of if you want a champion bumper horse, the 2 mile, 2.5, 2 miles, 2 furlong bumper at Naas in the new year. I think it's like Naas at the end of January is definitely one to take note because it's the extra 2 furlongs to get you up the hill at Cheltenham in a bumper. Jasmine DeVoe, 8 to 1 for the thing. I mean, it could go over Bartlett, but I still think it'll go here. Um, I'm going to get it in the book, and it's just the form of everything's working out for it, really. And look, I know the new line was good in the cello, but it always gets me that I look, it will change. Obviously, the cello form will stick up one day, but I still think that nagging doubt that the new line will be beaten by an Irish horse, unfortunately, not being highest or anything like that.
No,
But
it's fine, it's fine.
Jasmine DeVoe at 8 to 1 is definitely going in the book. And the last horse is in one of our friends of one of our groups put up that he's now qualified. Sorry, is qualified for the Hunter's Chase. And in the Hunter's
Oh, I know you
Chase,
got.
at 8 to 1 is massive. It fell into second last in the Kim Muir, has won a Kim Muir, has beaten Stumptown. Eighth one, it's been around the track, seems to love the track. 3 miles too at the new track, and it's Angel's Dawn. Former Kim Muir winner. I don't know what it's doing in Hunter's Chases. It should be too good for all this lot. Now, it's on the line as a huge danger. I think Derek O'Connor, like you see the last 8 down Royal, just out for a trot, and look, we'll finish second, and I think it probably needs less than that. Look, it did hang last year in the Fox Hunters, but you can't discount it's on the line just now. But it's just it's form around the track, horses for courses, 2 from 2 now, and it's point to pointing. Qualify for the Fox Hunters. I like that, and 8 to 1, and I would love like if they go really quick. It's used to handicap pace, Angels Dawn. So if they go really quick, 8 to 1, Angels Dawn for the Fox Hunters. I'm really confident her, yeah. So they're my three.
I'd say with It's on the Line, it is possible that he's not totally a Cheltenham horse as well. He's finished
No,
second
no.
twice now, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
He it's not like he doesn't handle it completely, but there's a few things and he made a few errors on the way around at the same places, and I could see it happening again, like you said,
You,
James.
you,
So
you just got to look back, Joe, as well, regardless of beat Stumptown in the Kimura. You look back at the second last, it was just an awkward fall that slipped on land and it fell. And it had finished, no, it was never going to beat, I know the way you're thinking, but at least it had finished second to it.
yeah.
And I know where you're thinking's up in the one somethings,
Mhm.
late 150s, and this starts off the 140s. Oh, I'm like I think they know what they're doing here, and they're looking to win at Cheltenham again. So yeah,
Go,
8 to 1 for me. And
going back to the Fox Hunters, there's horses that have ran in it previously, year after year, and not won. I think On the Fringe took a few times to win the race
Oh
before he
yeah.
actually got his head
Yeah.
in front.
I am worried about exactly. I'm worried about it's
Bill,
on the line. We'll get it
Bill
right
ran
one
in it, I
day.
think,
Then.
three
So,
times before he won it.
yeah.
And I do think the fields are getting smaller. There used to be 24 runners in the race. I think the fields are getting smaller. Um, just thought I'd point that out, but maybe it's irrelevant. But
He blew his chance to Aintree as well. He was travelling well, but again, he made a bad error and unseated. Is it the 4 miler that they've got at Aintree, or was it 2 mile 4? It might be complete other way around.
Who's that?
It's on the line.
Oh, it won. It won, didn't it? It won at
he
Aintree this year.
won at Aintree and he won
Yeah.
at Punchestown, didn't
Well,
he?
Punchestown as well.
He did unseat one. Oh no, wait. I'm thinking of Gaborio. He was unseated behind It's on the Line, didn't he? About 4 out.
Yeah.
Oh me, yeah, yeah, nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Cool. So the addition to the team. So Scotty has added Highland for the Ultima. I think that's our first handicap selection in the book. And James added three. Kopek the board for the Supreme, Jasmine DeVoe for the Turners, and then Angels Dawn for the Fox Hunters. And I like the Big Westerner. And I've got another one, which is a good thing in the Mayor's Chase at the moment, but I'm not going to give it away just yet. We'll talk about it in the next show. So, fellas, Thursday next time we're going to have a deep dive into the Ante-Post markets, look into all of the Christmas races. So it's going to be a long episode. And obviously, thanks everyone to tuning in again. I'll try and timestamp it this time as well. We keep getting a few comments saying it's easier if we timestamp it at the bottom, and that makes sense. We want it to be the best and easiest viewing for everyone tuning in, because obviously we appreciate the support. As the least we could do is get that sorted. And again, if you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. It does help us out a great deal. You'll be notified when the selections go live. And as our viewers, you also have the opportunity to come over and join Oddschecker Unlimited for 20% off monthly or annually, where you'll get not only my racing tips early, you will get my golf tips, which are exclusive to Oddschecker. You'll get Andy Holder's tips, the Road to Cheltenham preview each week, a share and a racehorse, and loads of other good things as well. Right then, gents, where are you watching the racing then tomorrow?
Oh, I'd be at home.
Home as well. Yep.
Yep, yep.
Feel like we've had all of the good stuff now, but
Yeah.
like I said, we'll be back on Thursday, and we'll have
10 weeks today.
Yeah, 10 weeks today. There you go. Or 5 weeks, should we say, even to the DRF sort of thing. So
Ah,
I think we're gonna try and get the Take a Pool lads on, I think, aren't we? Maybe for the DRF, we might have other plans. Either way, we're gonna get them fellas on again. Really enjoyed their company. We've got loads of guest lines up actually for January. But I think that wraps it up, doesn't it, fellas?
yep.
Cool. Everyone, thanks so much again for tuning in. We tried to keep it short, sweet, and brief for this episode. As just mentioned, please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you all on Thursday evening.